Good afternoon.
Hi, Brian. This is Megan.
Hi, Megan. I was just going to ask, I was assuming for a moment, but thanks for confirming it was you.
Absolutely. Would you like me to take roll today?
That would be lovely. Thank you.
And I'm ready whenever you're ready to start.
Okay. When my clock switches over, if we could go ahead and put up the usual slides about agendas and attendance or participation. Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock, and I will go ahead and call Committee of the Whole for June 30th, 2021 to order. We continue to meet remotely. Up on the screen is the link to where you can find agendas and related documents at the city's website. And this next slide is our public participation, public comment slide. If you're a participant in the meeting, you can raise or lower your hand in Zoom during an opportunity for public comment, and I'll recognize you. Also have an opportunity to raise or lower your hand using More on an iPhone or Android. And if you're using landline, you can use *9 to do the same. And as always, we have our City Council voicemail system, 406-552-6012, as well as the council email, council@ci.missoula.mt.us, that goes to all council members. Thanks, Megan. You can take those off. Our first item is roll call, and if you wouldn't mind calling roll, Megan, that'd be great.
Okay. Anderson?
Present.
Becerra? Contos?
Here.
Harp?
Here.
Hess?
Present.
Jones?
Present.
Merritt?
She's gone this week.
Okay, thank you. Ramos?
Present.
Cheryl?
She's also away.
Thank you. Basika?
Present.
Von Mossberg?
Here.
West?
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. And we'll keep an eye out to see if Ms. Becerra joins us. We have minutes to approve from the June 23rd meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, those will stand approved. And I'll move to the public comment on non-agenda items portion of the agenda. If you're participating today in the public and would like to make public comment on anything not on the agenda, this is an opportunity to do so. And I am not seeing anyone raise their hand for that. So we'll go ahead and move into our one item of committee business, which is a resolution in support of transgender and LGBTQ plus youth. I am pleased to be a co-sponsor on this with Ms. Jones and Mr. Hess. And Gwen, okay for me to make a couple introductory remarks?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. First off, I wanted to thank Gwen for her work on this and her outreach to a lot of folks in the community. I presided at the council meeting on Monday night and read a proclamation relative to Pride Month. And it's fitting that on the last day of June of Pride Month, that we're getting this introduced. Process will obviously carry forward into the new month of July, but I'm glad that we could start this during Pride Month. I think it's appropriate. And I have some other comments, but I will go to Ms. Jones for her introduction.
Great. Thanks, Brian. I wanted to thank the co-sponsors, Brian and Jordan, for helping draft this. And there were numerous community members who also vetted it and talked it through. I appreciate their time and their energy spent on this. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I've decided that for today, I'm going to kind of keep it at the 30,000 foot level and just make some general comments. I think it's good to hear public comment on this, and then move it forward to the public hearing and go through the process. So I'm going to hold a lot of my comments for down the road. But for right now, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the genesis of why I thought it was important to bring this resolution. And frankly, it stems from the actions the legislature took when they were seated in January and felt that the most important thing to hit straight off the bat was to bring two bills, one which would have either eliminated or limited medical treatment for transgender youth regarding those issues, and then another one that would have prohibited transgender athletes from participating in interscholastic sports on teams other than their gender birth. And I was just shocked, first of all, that this was the priority. And I was shocked that these bills were brought. I don't think they ever should have been brought. I don't think they ever should have been debated. And the school sports bill, which ultimately passed and was signed by the governor, should not be our Montana law. So I can't control the legislature, but I sure as heck can, as a city councilor, bring what I think is the appropriate thing to do in Missoula. And as I said, I was just so upset that our legislature would take these type of actions against a vulnerable youth population. So I'm not going to address the specifics of the pro and con arguments regarding whether transgender youth should be in sports. Frankly, I don't think it's even worth discussing, but I will happily do that later at the public meeting. And I have spoken with those on council who I anticipate will not be in favor of this. And to say that I heartily disagree with them is an understatement. But my main reason for bringing this was that I think it's incredibly, first of all, I think it's one of the biggest responsibilities and jobs that a community has is to support its youth. And I think it's very important that we as a community tell our LGBTQ plus youth, and especially our transgender youth, that in Missoula, they are respected, they are valued, and they are welcomed here. And they need to know that we as a community support them. And in turn, just as that is our job as a community, I think it is their job to grow up as best they can so that they can turn into happy, thriving human beings and contribute to this world. So that's the value of bringing this, is communicating that to our youth. And that's what I can do as a Missoula City Councilor. I truly believe that the great majority of people in Missoula also are in line with this resolution and believe in it and support it. And that's what we can do in this day and age as a local community, is we can message this to our youth and tell them that we value them and we support them and give them the space to grow up. So happy to answer any questions. I think for the most part, it speaks for itself. But those are my comments for today.
Thanks, Gwen. I'm going to make a request of you. It's a couple pages. It's a lot to read, but I think it merits, and I'm happy to do this, or I wanted to give you the opportunity perhaps to read at a minimum the be it further resolved, now therefore be it resolved in the additional paragraphs. Those are often the subsequent concluding parts of a resolution. Would you be willing to do that? Would you like me to do that?
Sure. I'm just pulling it up right now to find. I'm just going to go towards the end. Let me see. So be it further resolved, this is on the second page, be it further resolved that the Missoula City Council desires to communicate to transgender youth that they are valued members of this community who should be able to engage in any legal extracurricular activities they choose to pursue. And further, the council wishes to communicate that it is their belief that transgender youth medical treatment decisions are a private matter between the youth, their parents, and their medical provider. And be it further resolved that Montana's LGBTQ+ youth are entitled to respect, privacy, inclusion, safety, and security. The City of Missoula supports these youth to help them thrive and reach their potential, which in turn enriches all of us and strengthens our community. And finally, be it further resolved that the City of Missoula will continue to enforce its non-discrimination ordinance and strive to improve its efficacy and impact. And I understand that our NDO, non-discrimination ordinance, is being reviewed, and there are several counselors working on that to basically make it better so that we can do right by people in our community. Thanks, Brian.
Yep. Thank you, Gwen, for reading that. I think it's important. The entire resolution is important. And I will say, Mirta and I are honored to be working with others on a review of our NDO with some incredible people in the community who I want to thank. So I'm happy to take questions, comments, get a motion on the floor, etc. Jordan, go ahead.
Thanks. I want to thank Gwen for doing the heavy lifting on drafting this ordinance, and I'm proud to co-sponsor it. And I'd be happy to start off by making the recommended motion, and then I'd like to make a few comments if I may.
Yeah, that motion's in order, and go ahead, Jordan.
Thanks. And I, like Gwen, will keep it brief today, and I'll save my substantive comments for the council floor. But I think that, as the resolution states, that by passing House Bill 112 and by even considering and debating House Bill 113 and 427, the legislature has systematically marginalized a vulnerable youth population. And to me, that is morally bankrupt at its best. I think that the City of Missoula has the opportunity to stand here today to plant a flag that reaffirms that transgender youth in our community are welcome, they are valued, they are supported, and that this isn't the Montana that we'd like to see here in Missoula. I'll leave it at that for today, and I'll just reiterate that this is an action that I'm proud to be supportive of, and I think it reflects the values of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Jordan's made the recommended motion, so we can continue with any questions, comments, etc. And I will certainly go to public comment as well. Sandra.
Thanks. So is the recommended motion today to set a public hearing to discuss this, or is the recommended motion today to adopt this resolution?
Recommended motion, if I can navigate my screens. Well, regardless of what it is, I just know process-wise, we are setting a public hearing. I would have to look at my calendar. Since we're off next Monday, it will be it would be on July 12th, and per our process of business under the pandemic, we keep that open, and then under final action on the 19th. And Jordan, did you have an answer to that as well?
Yeah, you know, the recommended motion is printed on the agenda is to adopt a resolution. And resolutions do not require public hearings, generally speaking. I'd be happy to have my motion go to set a public hearing. I think that there's a public hearing as an official vehicle to gather comment, and it's always good to include the public as much as possible. And so I'd be happy to do that. I guess I'd defer to Gwen and Brian, to you as to your preferences.
Sure. And yeah, I'll note that the intent, Gwen, correct me if I'm wrong, was certainly to set a public hearing, have this on the 12th and conclude on the 19th. Is that consistent with what you'd like, Gwen?
Yeah, that's actually the original motion I turned into Marty, so I'm not sure if it was edited, but I think we should have a public hearing, and that's what I intended.
So I'll just clarify that for the record, then, that my motion is to set a public hearing on July 12th and final consideration on July 19th.
Okay. Sandra, that was a long answer to your question.
Great, thanks. So I'm in support of setting a public hearing for this. There's part of the resolution that I agree with and part of it that I disagree with. So I'm happy to see the majority of my comments until after we have the public hearing.
Okay. Got it. Not seeing anybody else in the queue. Ms. Anderson, actually.
Sorry, thanks so much. I am support of setting a public hearing, and I'm also very much in support of this resolution. I thank Ms. Jones for all the hard work that I know that she has put into this and the outreach that she's done to the community. And I look forward to hearing from them in both on the 2 meetings that we have in July. And I agree with the sentiments of both Ms. Hess, Mr. Von Lossberg, and Ms. Jones about the fact that, you know, we can't control the legislature. And I was appalled that with the discussion that was happening around these issues, and what we can do in our community is, you know, strengthening our NDO where it needs to, and, you know, staying very loud and clear that all members of our youth and our community are welcome here, that they have a safe, inclusive home in Missoula. We value them. They are respected, no matter what their identity, their skin color, their religion, their sexual orientation, that Missoula is a welcoming place for all. And I'm happy to lend my voice and my vote to that, and want to make it unequivocally clear that that is the Missoula that I stand for.
Thank you. Any other comments among council members? Not seeing any. I will quickly add before going to public comment. I'm of course supportive of the process. I'm supportive of the content within the resolution as well. And I will speak to that more as we go through the process. I did want to mention, I was looking at the White House's statement around Pride Month, and there was a particular part of it that I wanted to read and affirm. It says in the first paragraph, Pride is both a jubilant communal celebration of visibility and a personal celebration of self-worth and dignity. This Pride Month, we recognize the valuable contributions of LGBTQ+ individuals across America, and we reaffirm our commitment to standing in solidarity with LGBTQ+ Americans in their ongoing struggle against discrimination and injustice. This resolution is a part of that, standing in solidarity, and there's actions that should and must accompany it relative to things like the non-discrimination ordinance. That ordinance came before my service, before any council member's, current council member service, but it's a legacy that I was very proud to inherit and take forward and improve upon where we have the opportunity and where we recognize the need. So my full support. With that, I'm happy to take any public comment on the motion. Mr. Nugent, I see your hand.
I just wanted to be sure the council checks their dates, because the council doesn't meet again until the 12th. So you can't schedule a hearing on something that's going to come out the night of the 12th. So I think you have to move your dates back a little bit, because July 5th is a holiday. And so the next meeting, when this comes out of committee, is going to be the 12th. And you couldn't have the public hearing at the same time you're bringing it out of committee.
Ah, yes. You are correct. We won't have the action. We won't have to be able to take the action to set the public hearing. Gwen, do you have Jordan for, I see Jordan stand up.
Yeah, I'll defer to Gwen on dates, but I'm fine with kicking it back a week.
Yeah, I think we just need to have it, we have it in council on the 12th to set the public hearing. We open the public hearing on the 19th and we close it on the 26th.
That works. And Jordan, your motion, you're comfortable with your motion being so amended?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
So I guess I have a process question. If we out of this committee were to pass the resolution and versus pass a intent to set a public hearing, will we then need to have that third Monday? So if the action of this committee is to support and adopt this resolution, then it would come to council on the 12th. And because we are holding things open for a week because of COVID, it would then be the 19th.
That's a good question. Mr. Nugent, do you have an opinion?
I don't think that you can piggyback them that way and have it be clean for public notice and public participation. Under your rules, it's optional to have a public hearing on a resolution, but you do sometimes choose to have a public hearing on resolutions. And I think you'll have to give some sort of notice that Marty's going to have to advertise, and she isn't going to get the message or the instruction to advertise until the night of the 12th, because that's when you're bringing it out of committee. So I think if you're going to take the option selected for public hearing, you're going to have to push it back a little bit so that it comes out of committee on the 12th. You instruct Marty on the 12th to schedule a public hearing for the 19th, and then you hold that public hearing open until the 26th, and you can vote on the 26th.
Let's do it that way. All right. Sorry for the confusion. Is there any public comment for any members in attendance? Feel free to raise your hand or otherwise indicate. And I'm not seeing anyone. There is somebody. Go ahead, Zoe.
Hi, yes. My name is Zoe Zephyr. I'm a citizen of Ward 4, and I am a trans woman. I just wanted to take a brief moment to thank City Council for considering this resolution. As a woman who testified at the legislature about these anti-trans bills and who met with the governor's office to sort of plead for our humanity to be recognized and acknowledged, I can tell you that the laws that went forward were not only based on a misrepresentation of what it means to be trans, and not only did our pleas fall on deaf ears at the legislature, my community is suffering in response to the laws that passed, the laws that were discussed, and the laws that we know they talked about bringing forward. I have friends who have left this state who were contributing members of our Missoula community who have left because they don't feel like there is a home for them here anymore. And those of us who remain are scared about what the future for Montana, what our future in Montana is going to be. So I just want to say thank you again for considering this. These types of resolutions are the first step in making a vulnerable community feel welcomed and included and protected. I know you've alluded to work in the future for the council, and there's a lot to be done to help enshrine and ensure the protections for not only queer community members, but all groups that are marginalized and feel unprotected in our city. So thank you again. And I urge you all to vote yes on this.
Thank you. If make another call, any additional public comment? Okay, not seeing any. We will have a Ms. Ramos sneaking it in at the end.
Hey, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to clarify, since this is a vote to set the public hearing, right? There was a lot of back and forth.
Yes, you're forgiven for not being able to follow that in its incredibly clear form. It is to set a public hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
Megan, we can go ahead with a roll call vote.
Okay, and my apologies right away for not cutting and pasting the entire motion originally. So we are voting today to set a public hearing to adopt the resolution. And Anderson,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Harp,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Vasika,
Yes.
Von Lossberg,
Yes.
Heidi West.
Yes.
Great, that is all yeses, no nos, and 3 absents. Anybody want to change their vote? Okay,
Okay, so that passes unanimously, and we'll go on the consent agenda to set the public hearing. And that was our one item of business today. So thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, President Von Lossberg. Could you just reiterate for the community members who are on the call what our schedule moving forward is and when they will be given, when would be a good times for them to come and give public comment so that they know and they can, if other people want to participate, just because I know there was lots of back and forth. So
Sure.
what the schedule is for this resolution moving forward through July.
Sure. So we just passed a motion to set a public hearing that will be officially taken up on our next council meeting. We don't have a council meeting on the 5th, on the 12th, which will then set a public hearing that will in duration go from the 19th, should it pass, to the 26th, per our process of setting a public hearing and then holding items open for a week and then final consideration. So the official time I would expect that hearing will be open is the 19th through the 26th. However, people are welcome to provide public comment, and we receive public comment on many things all the time. And so there is no official reason to wait to express your feelings about this matter, but that will be the official time window. Did I do okay, Ms. Anderson?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure people knew when we were going to be discussing this, because I know several of us said we will be holding our comments until the public hearing, and so wanted to know when they could tune in and participate in that discussion, and that would be the 19th is when we will start this, correct, Ms.
Yep.
Jones? Yeah, okay.
Correct. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you again, Gwen, for all of your work on this. And we will be adjourned.
Very good. Thank you.